welcome back to our channel. I hope you've been well. I am going to talk about scholarships today to go to the UK. I'm talking about Commonwealth scholarships. I'm explaining to the viewers what is it about, what are the available scholarships, how they should apply, and some advice.
Just apply to as many as you can.
Oh, that's a nice point.
Ask people who went through the same kind of
here.
program as you. Should I be closer? And ask people who went through the same program what scholarships they apply to.
That's one advice.
And usually you would have country-specific scholarships.
Yes.
That's it.
So they should try to ask people who are doing the same program.
Yeah.
And then they should know their eligibility criteria, right?
Yes.
And then another advice. Think.
And third advice, you always need 3, do you? Start early. Like, that's the core
Give me
part.
5.
That was not the best.
Yeah.
Not a card, but like I lost at least 1 or 2 scholarships because I just started too late. So even if you don't know what the program is, I would always suggest 1 or 2 years before already think about scholarships.
That's a good thing, seriously, because it gives you time to prepare, right? Enough. And even giving time for your editors to review your essays, to submit something high quality or something presentable.
Yeah.
Right? Thank you so much for your
You're
advice.
welcome.
You deserve a Nobel Prize.
I'll see you.
In Africa, or if you are on any other continent, I think you've noticed that studying in the UK is very, very expensive. Studying in Japan, because I was in Japan before, it's far easier compared to studying here. In the UK, the tuition is far way too much. So if you are an African student, or if you're a student who qualify for these scholarships I'm going to be talking about, I recommend you to stay here and watch the full video. So, see you soon. So, what are Commonwealth scholarships? Commonwealth scholarships are among the best scholarships that are available for students, other than UK students, to study or to do their postgraduate education here in the UK. These scholarships are funded by the UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, and they are given to talented and motivated students coming from one of the Commonwealth countries or Commonwealth states. I fell in love with these scholarships because they give a wide range of students, They give many students the opportunity to do their postgraduate education in the UK, which is not the same case for other scholarships. For example, I think every year they give about 800 scholarships to various students who are coming from various Commonwealth nations. If you consider other scholarships like the Rhodes, I think in East Africa they give only 1 student from the entire East Africa. So I love this scholarship more because it gives the chance to many students who need help or who wish to be helped to conduct their postgraduate education here in the UK. To apply to the Commonwealth scholarships, your field of study must be under these 6 themes. 1, science and technology for development. Strengthening healthy systems and capacity. 3, promoting global prosperity. 4, strengthening global peace, security and governance. Strengthening resiliency and response to crisis. Access, inclusion and opportunity. So those are the 6 themes they base on to offer these scholarships. if you carefully look at these 6 themes, you're going to find out that some of them are kind of related to each other or to one another. So I recommend you go to the link. I'm going to insert a link in the description box. You go there and read more about the explanations of each theme, because I want you to apply to something you are really interested in. Don't apply to a wrong course. You should apply under the correct theme, and you must apply to the correct course. The Commonwealth offers about, I think, six scholarships, but these are for various categories of people. In this video, I'm only going to be talking about the scholarships that are available for students who are intending to do their master's degree. Malin, come.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Sorry, this is my friend Malin.
Should I join
You want to say something in the video?
About scholarships?
Mhm.
Yeah. What's about scholarships?
I'm talking about Commonwealth scholarships. I'm explaining to the viewers what is it about, what are the available scholarships, how they should apply, and some advice.
Just apply to as many as you can.
Oh, that's a
And
nice point.
Ask people who went through the same kind
Come
of
here.
program as you. Should I be closer?
Mm-hmm.
And ask people who went through the same program what scholarships they apply to.
Mm-hmm. That's one advice.
And usually you would have country-specific scholarships.
Yes.
That's it.
Mhm. So they should try to ask people who are doing the same program,
Yeah.
and then they should know their eligibility criteria, right?
Yes.
And then another advice. Think.
And third advice, you always need 3, do you? Start early. Like, that's the core
Give me
part.
5.
That was not the best.
Yeah.
Not a cord, but like I lost at least 1 or 2 scholarships because I just started too late. So even if you don't know what the program is, I would always suggest 1 or 2 years before already think about scholarships.
That's a good thing, seriously, because it gives you time to prepare, right? Enough. And even giving time for your editors to review your essays, to submit something high quality or something presentable,
Yeah.
right? Thank you so much for your
You're
advice.
welcome.
You deserve a Nobel Prize.
I'll see you.
At a master's level, there are 3 main categories of these Commonwealth scholarships. Number 1, the Commonwealth Master's Scholarships. The Commonwealth, that's number 2, the Commonwealth Shared Scholarships. And number 3 is the Commonwealth Distance Learning Scholarships. The last category gives you a chance to study while staying in your home country. I think that is more suitable for people who want to continue working while studying. That's what I would say. But the first 2, that is the Commonwealth Master's Scholarships and the Commonwealth Shared Scholarships, those are scholarships that give a chance to students to conduct their education here in the UK, and those are the ones that I am going to be focal pointing on. So I'm going to be explaining each of these scholarships. I'm going to be showing you some of the differences between these 2 scholarships, and I'll be offering you some advice from my perspective or from my experience. Yeah. So, for all these scholarships, you cannot apply directly to the Commonwealth. It's not possible. You can apply to the Commonwealth scholarships through a third party. If I start with the Commonwealth Master's Scholarships, you have, the bees, sorry. Yeah, we have so many insects here. So if you're going to apply for the Commonwealth Master's Scholarship, you must apply to the nominating body. Then the nominating body, after the nominating body selects the students, then they can send their students to the Commonwealth. There are various nominating bodies in various countries. So the nominating body selects their students or their best candidates, and then they send them to the Commonwealth, and then other nominating bodies select their candidates, and then they submit the names to the Commonwealth, and then the Commonwealth chooses from the pool of people who have been submitted by the nominating bodies. So what you have to understand here is that you have to make a very high quality application, because once you pass through the first stage, that is being successful at the nominating body stage, that means that you're going to be competing at an international level, because you're going to be competing with other names that were selected by the nominating bodies from different countries. You understand that? So you really have to invest so much energy in this thing if you want to win it. To apply to the nominating body, you're going to just fill in the online form, the online application form, where you're going to be answering various questions in specific amount of words. That is something very, very hard. It's very hard because for some questions you might feel like, oh, I have so much information on this question, but there is a word limit. So that is something that's a little bit hard. So you really have to be careful. I mean, in terms of writing, selecting the words. That's why I'm saying that you must start applying to this scholarship, not like applying, but preparing to apply this scholarship as soon as possible. In the online application, you're going to fill it, and then you're going to submit it to the nominating body you have chosen. That is for the Commonwealth Masters Scholarships. At the end, you will be asked to submit, before you submit your application, you will be asked to upload some documents, including your passport, transcripts, degree certificates and transcripts, and then passport. And I think, yeah, that's all, because the references are submitted directly by the referees. So it's a responsibility to inform the referees as soon as possible so that they can prepare the references and send them before their deadline. The deadline for students and the deadline for the referees, the deadlines are different according to what I know and according to what I know and according to my experience. They are different things, but still it's always better to inform your referees as soon as possible so that they can start composing your reference later. So if I move on to the Commonwealth shared scholarships, these are scholarships you're going to apply to via a university. You're going to apply these scholarships through a university that will select you, and then it will send the name to the Commonwealth. Just like the Commonwealth Master Scholarships, even here you have to submit your degree certificate, transcripts, and your passport. And all these applications are conducted online without paying any single coin. The next question would be, what is the major difference between the Commonwealth Masters Scholarships and the Commonwealth Shared Scholarships? So I think I have to sit on this because it's a little bit complicated. So I'm going to sit down and explain to you from A to Z. Keep watching. When you're applying to any of these scholarships, that is the Commonwealth Masters Scholarships or the Commonwealth Shared Scholarships or any other scholarships, you must apply to the universities that have ties or relationships with the Commonwealth. How can you know those universities? If you go to the Commonwealth page, they indicate a list of, or they just show a list of the universities that have the ties with the Commonwealth. So if you apply to different universities, you might not qualify. So yeah. So if it's like this, the question would be, what's the major difference, or what are the major differences between these scholarships? What's the difference between the Commonwealth Master's scholarships and the shared scholarships? And that's what I'm going to talk about now. First things first, deadlines. For the Commonwealth Master's scholarships, oh, the wind. So cool. Yeah, for the Commonwealth Master's scholarships, the application period is always between, let's September and October. And I remember when I applied, the deadline was 31st of October. That was 2019. But the deadline for the references was, I think, in November. Yeah, November. For the references, yeah, it was, I think, in November. So yeah, we have different deadlines, students and the referees. So for the Commonwealth shared scholarships, the application period is different. I noticed that they mainly apply at the beginning of the year. That is, I think, March and April. But still, you must confirm these application periods because things are changing, Things are changing because of various reasons, especially the pandemic. It has changed so many things. The deadline might be extended, or they might be changed, or the month might change depending on various circumstances. So I urge you to always have the most updated application guidelines, or to look at the most updated websites for the Commonwealth. So the other difference is that when you're applying to when you're applying to the Commonwealth Master's Scholarship, you have to go through a nominating body. There are various nominating bodies in your country, so you have to choose one, and you indicate that, and you indicate the name, or you don't indicate, but you just select the name of the nominating body in your country. These nominating bodies can be NGOs that have been selected by the Commonwealth to select students, or they can be ministries of education in your countries. So you really have to know the various nominating bodies that are available in your country. After interacting with various scholars, they were honest. They told me that it's a good thing for students to apply to nominating bodies that are non-government organizations. I mean, it's better for you to interact with a nominating body that is an NGO than applying to like a Ministry of Education in your country. I can understand that, because of corruption and everything, for example, in my country, but I can't say much about that because I don't have the evidence. But according to what I heard from various scholars, they said that I can't apply through our Ministry of Education. I can only apply through an NGO as my nominating body. So if this information applies to you, then it will be a good chance for you to apply via an NGO than via Ministry of Education. That's what I heard. For the Commonwealth Shared Scholarships, you apply, you complete the online application, but it's the university that has a huge say, or the selection. They select the students, and actually after that, so they select the students, and after selecting them, they submit the names to the Commonwealth. Another difference between these two scholarships that's related to that is that for the main one, which is the Commonwealth Master's Scholarships, when you're submitting your application, the referees do submit the references before you even get the university. For the shared scholarships, you submit the application, the university reviews it, then they select the number, the university selects the candidates, and after the university has selected you, that's when your referees are asked to submit the references. You understand the difference? For the Commonwealth Masters scholarships, the references go together with the entire application. They go together before you even get the university. But for this one, the university must first select you, sends your name to the Commonwealth, and then they ask the referees to submit the references. Another difference between these two scholarships is that for the Commonwealth Masters scholarships, it's one application. You submit only one online application. And in that one online application, you choose 3 universities. Your first choice and the course, second choice and the course, third choice and the course in one application. And then you submit the submission button once, right? You apply once. You don't have to make various copies of the application. For the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, you have to apply to different universities individually. That means that you make one application, one online application for one university, for example, University of Oxford, one application submitted. Another university, for example, the University of Cambridge, a new application, submit that. And then if you want to apply to another university, you start a new application, you fill all the information, why that specific university, blah, 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 and then you submit. The advantage of this one is that you submit one application, you don't have to submit various copies. But the disadvantage is that if these 3 universities, the universities you want to go to, have different courses, or if there is only one university that offers the course you want, that can be problematic because they want you to choose 3 universities, right? So that means that you are limited. You must choose courses that are related. You understand that? The essays, the essays must be relating to all the courses you have listed above, the 3 courses from those 3 universities. In this case, however, things are a little bit different. So this one, of course, it's tie-hand. Tie-hand is tie-hand. It requires more work. In a simpler way, it requires more work because you're going to make different applications. But the good thing about it is that if the courses at all these 3 or 4 universities you have selected are a little bit different, it gives you a room to write totally different essays, different personal, not personal statements because it's personal, same thing, but I mean, it gives you a chance to write different essays, essays that fit in the course at a certain university, which is not the same thing for this scholarship. The other advantage of this one is that you can apply to about 4 universities with different applications, provided you're applying before the deadline. But for this one, you submit only one application with only 3 universities that are listed in the middle of the application. To add on, I would say that the Commonwealth Masters Scholarship has an advantage of allowing the students to apply to the course they desire. You understand that? Because you choose the university and the course you want. The only limitation is on the universities, because they have a list of the universities you must apply to. Not you must, but you should choose to apply to. But there is no limitation on the courses you want to do at specific universities. On the other hand, for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarships, they have the university and the specific course. They are, how can I explain this? I'll show you a screenshot of this. So you have the university, for example, the University of Birmingham, Masters in Africa and International Development, Masters in Africa and Development. University of Sussex, Masters in African Studies. University of Oxford, you must do this course. University of London, you must do this course. You understand that? So you are limited. The university goes with a combination with the course. So here, you are limited by both the university and the course. You must do the course that has been selected here. Here, you are only limited by the universities. And I mean, there are so many universities that are good, that are really good. You know? There are so many good universities. So I don't think that a university can be a limitation. Of course, it can be a limitation because you might want a course that is covered at a different university that is not related to the Commonwealth. But yeah, it's not a big deal. The big deal would be the course, you know. Yeah, the course having what you want. Yeah. The other difference is that for this scholarship, that is master's scholarships, you can apply to it irrespective of where you have undertaken your undergraduate studies. I'll give you an example. I finished my undergrad in Japan and I applied the scholarship, I got it, and then I came to the UK. You'll understand the difference later, so please hold on. In the case of Commonwealth shared scholarships, you cannot apply to it if you have finished your undergraduate in a developed country, I think within a specified period of time, I think 1 or 2 years, something like that. That means that there is a higher flexibility, there's a high level of flexibility in terms of eligibility. You understand that? So for example, if I have studied in Japan, so if I did my undergraduate in Japan and I graduated in August 2020, I cannot apply, or I couldn't apply to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship because they wanted a person who had spent some time after graduation in their home countries. For this one, anybody can apply, irrespective of where you did your undergrad from. The last difference about these scholarships is about the payments. If you apply to the Commonwealth Master's Scholarship, you're going to be in a category of the main scholar. So you're going to receive your stipend directly from the Commonwealth. Your program officer will help you with all that, so you will be getting your stipend directly from the Commonwealth Finance Department. But if you are applying for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship and you luckily get it, your university is responsible for all these things. Your flights, tickets, and monthly stipend. Your university is responsible for that. For the main scholars, all those who have been awarded the Commonwealth Master's Scholarship, your flights, your stipend, money for the visa, etc. Oh no, you don't have to pay. If you are a Commonwealth scholar, you don't have to pay for your visa. All other payments, tuberculosis, or if you have to make any medical tests, all those bills are covered by the Commonwealth directly. But in this case, your university is responsible. Another thing I would like to talk about that is connected to both these scholarships is that you will hear from for this year, if you applied, the deadline was April 9th, 2021, and I read that the universities must submit the candidates, I think, in early May. So I have a feeling that probably you'll hear from the Commonwealth. I don't know because I couldn't find this information, but I think you'll hear from the Commonwealth at around July, because that is the same time when when the students who applied for the Commonwealth Master's Scholarships will also hear from the Commonwealth. So that's all about the differences and the similarities. So what would be my advice for you? I have a lot. I've been there. I have applied to the Commonwealth twice. There are so many bees and insects here, so I have to keep an eye on my head. Insects love my head so much for some reason. Anyways, I would like to advise you to do the following. First, before you apply to any scholarship, before you apply to any anything, let me say a course, check the eligibility criteria. Check that, especially the nationality thing. You must understand that starting an application and giving it all, and then at the end understanding that, oh wait, I actually don't qualify because I have finished my education in this country. That won't be a good thing for you. So before you start to apply to this scholarship or to these scholarships, first know and confirm the eligibility criteria for them. Then after, decide to start your application. My advice for you is start your application as early as you can. Otherwise, it will eat you up at the end. You'll know the deadline, you'll know everything, you'll know what to write. But if you don't start writing your application as early as you can, it will become an emergency. I mean, I can't lie to you. That's how things are. You don't work on things early, they become emergencies, but they shouldn't be emergencies, right? So start writing your application as early as you can. This gives a chance to the... I fear dogs so much. Yeah, so start your application as early as you can. This gives a chance to look for people who can help you in terms of editing your personal statements, people who can help you in terms of finding a proper course, a course that fits your desires, and finding a great university if you cannot do that on your own. Of course, it's not a weakness. Of course, you might not be good at understanding what's the best university for me, what's the best course for me according to what I want to study, according to what I want to do in the future. So this is the time for you to look for such people who can advise you accordingly. And when you're writing your application, the online application requires a lot of time, and you cannot do it. You just can't do it in one day. You just can't do it in 1 week. No, well, I personally can't do it in 1 week. If you are smart enough, you can do that, but under so much pressure, which can cause so many heart attacks. Not heart attacks, but problems to your blood pressure. So to avoid those problems, try to start early. And when you're writing your online application, I would advise you to separate. What is it? I would advise you to copy the questions. So I would advise you to copy the questions from the online application, paste them in a Word document, and start working in that document. Copy the questions and try answering the questions while counting the words for each question. Because in the online, it's very hard, to be logging in all the time. So it's manageable, It's easier for you to manage if you have a copy of the questions and you're answering them in a Microsoft Word document. The second advice I want to give you is that once you have made up your mind, once you've set yourself to apply to the Commonwealth, I would strongly advise you to apply to universities before you submit your application. Why? This will indicate that you have initiated a link between you and the university. Oh Jesus, there's so many bees and they're so scary. Yeah, so I would advise you to first apply to universities for those specific courses before you apply to the Commonwealth. This can be advantageous if you have the admission. You can have the offer, and if they ask you, have you made any contact with the universities? That's a credit, that's a good thing on your side, because it's easier for you to know which university I can target. If you are going to apply for the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, I strongly advise you to first get the admission offers from various universities. That's what I would do. Things will be very, very easy for you. Because if you have the admission, and then you submit your Commonwealth application, that means that the university is just going to say, oh yeah, our student, she already has the offer. He already has the offer. You understand that? So first apply to the universities, get the offers. That will make things a little bit easier for you than for a person who doesn't have any contact with the university. For the person who is applying to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, you shouldn't worry, but still it's your responsibility to show that you have made, some contacts with the university. When you're doing your application, when you're writing your application, you can say, after getting this information, I applied this university, this and this, and I haven't heard it back from them. Provided that you have taken the initiative to reach out to the universities before they do it for you. That's a good thing, I think. So it makes things a little bit, easier. It shows that you're interested, right? Just think about it. Yeah. The third thing I would like to tell you is that after you have written your application, or after you have composed the answers for respective questions in the application, try to send this document to a person who can help you to edit your answers or to go through your answers. This is another advantage why you should separate. You should copy the questions and paste them in the Word document. Because if you're doing everything online, how can you ask your editor to check your information? I understand that. It's just hard. And how can you give out your login credentials? I understand that. So it's better to, as I told you, it's better to copy the questions, paste them in the Word document, and answer them in that document. Then later on, when everything is done, edited, proofread by somebody who is not an expert, but not an expert as such, but somebody who can give you meaningful feedback, then you can copy and paste it back to the online form. So going back to the editor, this is something very hard because those essays are a little bit not contradicting, but when I was writing those essays, I noticed that most sections are kind of similar or related to the questions that I already answered. But I noticed that if you've fully read the question about 3 times and really understand it, you might find that slight difference. And I think that is the difference they want you to note so that you can answer it. But to be honest with you, most questions are similar. But how can you avoid writing the same thing for different sections? That's where the trouble is. So you really have to be careful. And to do that, you need someone who can help you to better understand the question. And whenever you're writing those essays, try to answer the question. They're going to ask ABCD, and they expect you to give answers for ABCD. Don't give answers for E, F, G, and other letters. Okay? Try to answer what they have asked. How is your course related to the developmental goals? How beneficial is your course to your country and to the entire world? Try to write something solid, something that can combine your country to the entire world and see how your course can contribute, not only locally, but also internationally. So try to answer the question. The last thing I should talk about is one of the most important things. References. References are very, very important. And you must, I don't know if you heard Marlene, but you must start thinking about who is going to act as your referee as soon as possible. I think in about a year. Well, it depends. We are different people. I was in Japan I was in Japan, I was close to my professors, and I approached them 2 months before, and they could do that. In countries like Uganda or in any African country where professors are not used to writing recommendations, or where we don't have this culture of writing recommendations, I can't lie to you, but where I come from at least, I noticed that teachers are not used to these kinds of, writing recommendations, because students get government scholarships depending on the grade and their grades, so they don't need anybody to recommend them. They just check their grades, and then they see the cut points, and they see if the student is qualifying for the government sponsorship schemes. You get that? So I noticed that our teachers are not used to writing are not used to writing references or recommendations for students. But for universities, I don't have any experience for that, so I won't say much about that. But still, since we grow up not experiencing that, I expect that it's hard for some professors to write references for students. So if you are in Uganda, where there's a huge difference between the professors and students, I would advise you to start looking for people who can recommend you as early as you can. In my case, or in other countries like developed countries, it's easy. I mean, we get along with the professors so easily, there's no huge difference. They don't put that wall between the students and professors. We interact with each other, we laugh, we talk about various things, our lives. But in Uganda, that doesn't happen. Or maybe in any other African country, that doesn't happen. So I would ask you, or advise you, to look for people who can do that for you. And I have a feeling that you shouldn't just look for people who can write something for you, but you should look for people who really know you, who wish you well. People who know you, they wish you well, they know your ambitions, and they know what you are capable of. You should get such people, because they're the people who can write for you something solid or something meaningful. References are very important. Don't take them for granted. Look for people who can recommend you as early as you can. The other advice I would like to give you is that once you have submitted your application to the Commonwealth, I would advise you to also try to apply to other scholarships. These scholarships are competitive. Of course, they give more students, but they're also competitive at the same time. So try to apply to a wide range of scholarships if you want to study in the UK, because if you apply to about 5 scholarships, the chances are that you can get one of those. So just try to apply to all the scholarships, or just try to utilize all the opportunities that come to your way. I have applied to these scholarships 2 times. So, but in case you have any questions about these 2 scholarships for the master's level, please send me a message. You can contact me via Instagram. So if you look for Free Oxford Student, you can easily find me there. Just shoot a message to me. I'll be happy to respond to you. Or you can just comment in the comment section. I'll be able to find your questions, and I'll try to respond to you as soon as possible. Currently, I noticed that if you send an email to the Commonwealth, you will get a reply after some time, because I imagine they are swamped, with various emails from various scholars, because they have so many scholars. So I have a feeling that you might not get the reply quickly, but still you'll get the reply. So if there is anything I can help you with, just ask me, and I'll be happy to respond to you as soon as possible. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much always for watching. And guys, remember that we are running community projects that aim at promoting quality education and hygienic studying environments in rural primary schools. So you are very welcome to support us. You can support us in any of the two ways. You can either donate to our GoFundMe, link, which is in the description, or you can subscribe to our channel. I'll stop here, guys. I love you so much. These are flowers for you. Remain positive, be hopeful, keep on working hard, and just know that you are loved. Thank you so much for always supporting us. Take care. It's a very difficult time. Take care of yourself. Don't stress about tiny things, because life is too short. And I am sending these flowers for you. Just know how much I love you. Take care during this pandemic. Take care. I love you.